Hello, I'm Chris. Welcome back to Marine Corner. Hope you're doing well. I have got a book haul. I don't know why I was going to say a TBR then. I've got a book haul of recent pickups. I thought I'd do this separately because when I tried doing it as a part of Cornered by Books, it just didn't. It didn't film long enough. So that's that. I'm going to be doing a Cornered by Books on Wednesday, up to now. Well, yeah, definitely doing a Cornered by Books Wednesday, but decided to show off these books first before I do that. Now ended up getting 5, not yesterday, the day before, because they were 20 pence each. But I feel like all these now in this video are going to be on TBR4, as well as any continuations of series or stuff like that. So that's that. So I'm going to go through my paperbacks first. No, I'm going to go through my hardbacks first, actually. Paperbacks, hardbacks. We'll go hardbacks because I prefer paperbacks. So when I was in the charity shop, this one's from Saturday. So when I was in the charity shop on Saturday, there was a woman in there and a daughter. Well, I presume it was a daughter. She pulled like this book out and went, "What's this one?" And I thought, "Oh, The Whale Road." I thought, well, maybe it's a non-fiction book. I was looking for a non-fiction book for holiday because I'm thinking 4 novels, a standalone graphic novel, so it will contain story that I can read cover to cover, and 4 novels, a non-fiction read, and then a book I can read cover to cover, a comic book I can read cover to cover, so something like The Dark Knight Returns, or The Joker by Brian Azzarello, or something along those lines, or Underwater World by Jeff Lemire. So I was looking for a non-fiction read, basically. So this one's called The Whale Road, and it's by Robert Lowe. I wouldn't have picked this up, she pulled it out and I was like, Whale Road. So it looks really like a really cool cover. It sounds interesting as well. A band of brothers committed only to each other rides the waves. Rides the waves? Rides the waves. That doesn't read right to me, that. A band of brothers committed only to each other ride the waves, fighting for the highest bidder, treading the whale road in search of legendary relics. Life is savage aboard a Viking raiding ship when Orm Rukson is plucked from the snows of Norway to brave the seas on the Ford Elk. He becomes an unlikely member of a notorious crew. Although young, Orm must quickly become a warrior if he is to survive. His fellow crew are the Oathsworn, named after the spoken bond that ties them in brotherhood. They fight hard, they drink hard, and they always defend their own. But times are changing. Loyalty to the old Norse gods is fading, and the followers of the mysterious White Christ are gaining power across Europe. Hired as relic hunters, the Oathsworn are sent in search of a sword believed to have killed the White Christ. Their quest will lead them onto the deep and treacherous waters of the Whale Road, toward the cursed treasure of Attila the Hun, and to a challenge that presents the ultimate threat. So it sounds really cool. I love the cover of it. But when I looked at it twice, it was just the girl in the shop's daughter like pulled it out and went, "What's this one? What's this one?" And I was like, I thought it was a non-fiction book, but it was 20 pence for a hardcover. Every book was 20 pence from the shop. When I show you a book from there, I'll tell you it was 20 pence. This one was also 20 pence. This is Money, Money, Money by Ed McBain. I don't know if I have this one or not, but for 20 pence I took a chance on it. Do have quite a few Ed McBain books, well, he's of his 87th Precinct novels anyway. I know I've got Cop Peter and the Mugger, and then it's a bit of a haze of which ones I've got. So I'm not going to read what this one's about just because it's one in a series. So that's Ed McBain's Money, Money, Money. So I want to get to that one sooner rather than later. Well, not sooner rather than later, I want to read the series. Start the series sooner rather than later. And then next up, I got this one in a charity shop in Bolton when I was off with Samuel. I wasn't going to get it, but he wanted a book, so I was like, oh, I'll treat myself to this. So it's called Keanu Reeves it's The Book of Elsewhere by Keanu Reeves and China Miéville. I like Keanu Reeves as an actor. I've only read one China Miéville book, but I think it was a novella that I feel like I need to reread. But I fancied reading this because, well, I picked it up because it was, like I say, it was a hardcover and it's got pink. Not because it's pink, but because it was a hardcover for like £1.50, and it was like a Waterstones exclusive edition. I think it was one. It should have been £1.50, but she only charged me £1 for it, but I didn't realise until I got it home and I was taking the stickers off. So this one says, a mind-blowing epic from Keanu Reeves and China Miéville, unlike anything these two genre-bending pioneers have created before, inspired by the world of the Berserker comic books. She said we needed a tool, so I asked the gods. There have always been whispers, legends, the warrior who cannot be killed, who's seen 1,000 civilizations rise and fall. He has had many names, Unut, the child of lightning, Death himself. These days he's known simply as B, and he wants to be able to die. In the present day, a US Black Ops group has promised him they can help with that, and all he needs to do is help them in return. But when an all too mortal soldier comes back to life, the impossible event ultimately points towards an even more mysterious force than B himself, one at least as strong and one with a plan of all of its own, in a collaboration that combines Miéville's singular style and creativity with Reeves' haunting and soul-stirring narrative. These two imitable artists have created something utterly unique, sure to delight existing fans and to create scores of new ones. So that one's cool. I love the pink of it though, and I also love like those as well. And in the back as well. Like I said, I looked at it and thought, oh, I fancy that. And if it worked for Samuel buying, he bought a Transformers annual. He loves Transformers. More the toys and the films. But yeah, so I decided to get that. These two books are the reason the book haul started. Basically, it was like, oh, I'm trying to collect Stephen King's novels in hardback if I can. So sometimes I grab them without knowing what I've got and what I've not got. I do need to make a list on my phone. So I've got Stephen King's Elevation. I don't really want to read what these are about because I'm working my way through Stephen King novels and like the surprise when I get to them. And Finders Keepers, I think this is part of a series, this one as well, if I remember right. I'm not sure. Maybe. I think it's maybe Mr. Mercedes, and I think there's another series he's done as well, which is I can't think what it's called. No, it's gone. Yeah, so I'm looking through Stephen King novels, reading them, and I'm kind of trying to collect the hardcovers. Not like expensive. I mean, they were £3 each, so they're a bit more than what I would usually pay in a charity shop. But for Stephen King, I didn't mind. Next up, I've got another 3 from the Saturday bookshop, charity shop that was 20p each. So I'm going to go with my one I want to read most last, and one I weren't sure about books. I was looking for a non-fiction read, but I'm not sure if this is the right time I want to read this. This is The Looming Tower, Al-Qaeda's Road to 9/11 by Lawrence Wright. I got it because it was 20p, and I was after something non-fiction. This is a definitive account of the run-up to 9/11, from the man who lit the spark of radical Islam in 1948 to those who built a terror network, and to the FBI agent whose warnings of something big coming were ignored until the Twin Towers fell. So it sounds interesting, but it also sounds like a bit of an hard read, and I think it's a bit of a... But I like these orangey spine classics, for a better orange spine classics, like non-fiction books. I've recently picked this up, the Silmarillion, but the reason I picked this up is it's because it's 20p, and this seems to be closer to my copies, because the last copy I bought had like, I couldn't find it when I went looking for it, but it had like colour to it, like the other books there. So I kind of wanted to see, I went to see if this one matched that one, but for 20p I took a chance on it being the copy that matches my Lord of the Rings books, and I hope it does. But I do fancy rereading Lord of the Rings. I'm just not in that mindset right now. I think maybe when I get back from holiday, because I'm kind of in this mindset of, like, I'm thinking about vacation books now, and I'm kind of wanting to sway away from things I've read before. I think with the comic book, I think that would be harder to do, but I think everything else I should be able to avoid that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just feel like reading new stuff while I'm away. Maybe new authors. I hadn't thought about that one before. Like, I fancy reading Wolf Hall. I fancy reading Leviathan Wakes. I fancy reading Stuart McBride. And there are 3 authors I've never read, so maybe I go with that. I don't know. I can't specifically pin my vacation books 100% yet, because I like the idea of a few things, like reading Scottish authors in Scotland. You know, I don't know if I've got any Welsh authors, or, you know, read what I fancy. So anyway, carry on with the book haul. This one looks interesting, and you can't... 20p for a Penguin classic, Black Spine Penguin classic, I should say. Can't go wrong, I don't think. So this one's The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. I want to start collecting Black Spine Penguin classics, but I feel like with my Black Spine Penguin classics, I think I have a Modern Utopia, Dracula, Frankenstein, Morrissey's autobiography, and Morrissey's autobiography is the only one I've not read, so it's like I've read most of my Black Spine, if not all, like apart from one. So I thought, well, if I start collecting them, I can read them, but I'm thinking this one would be a good one for Victober. The Moonstone, a yellow diamond looted from an Indian temple and believed to bring bad luck to its owner, is bequeathed to Rachel Verinda on her 18th birthday. That very night, the priceless stone is stolen again, and when Sergeant Cuff is brought in to investigate the crime, he soon realises that no one in Rachel's household is above suspicion. Hailed by T.S. Eliot as the first, the longest, and the best of modern English detective novels, The Moonstone is a marvellously taut and intricate tale of mystery, in which facts and memory can prove treacherous, and not everyone is as they first appear. So again, like I say, it's a Black Spine. I've read the majority of the ones. Off the top of my head, that's the 4 I've got. But Morrissey's autobiography, I love Morrissey and I love the Smiths, but his autobiography. I've tried reading it a couple of times and I've just not been able to. It's just so convoluted. But yeah, it's one I want to read. But like I say, I thought, well, I was looking at all my editions of books. I like the Red Spine the Red Spine Vintage Classics, but I've got a lot of them and I've not read any of them. Where the Black Spine Classics, I've read the majority I've got, apart from Morrissey. So I felt like, well, that's when I can start collecting and reading them. So that one's going to go on the shelf over there, just because I fancy reading it in October and cosy beanie on, or I'm in work or whatever, or on my way somewhere, or in a cafe and having a coffee. And then just trying to remember this. Alright, okay. Oh. Alright, okay, yeah. Right, I remember now where I'm up to. So, the other week when I was off with Sam as well, we went to a charity shop in Leigh, and it was like 30p a book or 4 for £1. So this one was my basically get a book for 10p book. I do like Sean Hudson, but it was just this. There was nothing else I fancied. So this is Lucy's Child by Sean Hudson. It says, Beth Parker returned home one day to find a nightmare, on her doorstep in the form of her younger sister Lucy. After a mysterious fire that killed their parents 5 years earlier, Lucy had disappeared from Beth's life into a twilight world of drugs and violence. But now she was back, needing somewhere to stay. There is no love lost between the sisters, and the tense atmosphere is strained further by repeated references to Beth's inability to bear children. Lucy knows how much it hurts, but she likes to hurt people. Perhaps that's why she carries a knife. But if Beth thought having Lucy to stay was a nightmare, having her gone was much, much worse. A tragic accident takes her away, but leaves a legacy behind Lucy's child, and Beth's only chance at motherhood. But there are forces abroad that cannot permit what Beth sees as her right, forces that will stop at nothing to prevent Beth from getting what she wants, and she wants Lucy's child. So it sounds good. Like I said, I like Sean Hudson. He's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, but for 10p, it was like, there was like a couple of Grisham ones, but I've not read any Grisham yet. The Grishams I've got, so I didn't want to. I mean, I've not read all the Sean Hudson ones, but I just thought you see more books of Grisham about than you do Sean Hudson. And then I've got a couple of non-fiction. Well, actually, the next 3 are non-fiction reads that could possibly be vacation books, but I kind of like the idea of them waiting for a bit, because I like the idea of choosing randomly from what I already have before this book haul anyway. So this is Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. I'm into World War II and stuff like that, so to me you've got to read about all of it. You can't just read about the heroes and stuff, you've got to read about the bad stuff that happened as well. So The Diary of a Young Girl remains the single most poignant true life story to emerge from the Second World War. In July 1942, Anne Frank and her family, fleeing the horrors of Nazi occupation, hid in the back of an Amsterdam warehouse. Anne was 13 when the family went into the secret annex, and over the next 2 years she vividly describes in her diary the frustrations of living in such confined quarters, the constant threat of discovery, the hunger and fear. Her diary ends abruptly when in August 1944 she and her family were finally discovered by the Nazis. Anne Frank died in March 1945, aged 15, in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Germany. This book provides a deeply moving and unforgettable portrait of Anne Frank, an ordinary and yet an extraordinary teenage girl. So that sounds like a good one to take. But I'm kind of looking for uplifting books, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. If you said, right, what 5 books would you take? Right now, I'd probably say Butcher's Crossing, Wolf Hall, Leviathan Wakes, maybe The Crown of Lot 49, and then maybe The Jigsaw Man. I don't know. At the minute, that's what I'm feeling. So, this one sounds interesting. This one's by Mark Urban. The Man Who Broke Napoleon's Codes. The Story of George Scoville. So, Mark Urban vividly brings alive the battlefields of the Spanish plains as he reassesses the Napoleonic Wars in light of his groundbreaking study of Major George Scoville, the man Wellington entrusted with the deciphering of the Great Paris Cipher, the French code of unrivalled complexity. So that sounds really interesting. But I don't know if I don't know. I'm not quite sure what I fancy non-fiction at the minute. I'm not sure if I fancy music. I don't think I do. I don't know if I fancy like World War II, but I feel like I'd want it to be something, you know, I want to read, or I don't know. I find it really hard to pinpoint the kind of non-fiction book I want. Next up is somebody I'm interested in, more so since I read his book, A Brief History of Time, which I read because Ian Brown was reading it in the Harry Potter film, I think. I'm not sure which film it is, but I want to say Prisoner of Azkaban, but it might be wrong. But yeah, he's like Stirring the Cup. I think it's cool. I like Ian Brown. I prefer his solo stuff. I think his solo stuff's a bit more depth in the lyrics. Not that there's anything wrong with Stone Roses. I like Stone Roses as well. So this is Jane Hawking Travelling to Infinity. The incredible story of Jane and Stephen Hawking. His mind changed our world. Her love changed his. And that's all it says. All right, okay. So it's basically, I presume, about her life, living with Stephen Hawking. Like I say, I read Brief History of Time, which I borrowed from the library, so I bought a copy. I then seen a book called by Kitty Ferguson about Stephen Hawking, so I wanted to read that as well. And then this was 30p or 25p it was, because I got 4 for £1. So that's that. So I am interested in reading more about Stephen Hawking. And then next up, I got this in a charity shop when I got the Stephen King ones in a different one. So in Chorley, there's like 2 charity shops. There's Bernardo's on the left. Well, if you're walking the way I was, it's from Greg's. It's where we usually go for coffee and stuff. It's on the left. I got Stephen King books from, and then on the right, I got this one. This was $1.29. It's somebody I remember reading a while ago. I can't remember who now, but Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. Now this one is like a bit of a tempter to take away. I'm going to go back to that in a minute anyway. After the internet, what came next? Enter the metaverse, cyberspace, home to avatars and software demons, where anything and just about everything goes. Newly available on the street, the metaverse's main drag is Snow Crash, a cyber drug. Trouble is, Snow Crash is also a computer virus and something more, because once taken, it infects the person behind the avatar. Snow Crash bleeds into reality, which is really bad news for Hero, freelance hacker, and the metaverse's best sword fighter. He wrote the code, and YT skateboard courier, street imp, and mouthy teenage girl. Because reality was shitty enough before someone started messing with it. Exploring linguistics, religion, computer science, politics, philosophy, cryptography, and the future of pizza delivery, Snow Crash is a riveting, breakneck adventure into the fast approaching future. So that sounds really good. That is a 10. I've not read Neil Stephenson before, so that would tip my hat with the reading an author. I am looking for kind of thicker books because I do want to. Like, I'll flash a couple of books up I've got at the minute. I'm currently reading this, but I only started yesterday, but I'm 60 pages in, and it's only 200 pages, so I'm hoping to finish that today. That's 200 pages. That's about 200 odd pages. I fancy reading Fiore by Cleo Mendoza. So I am after getting some thicker books read. I know I've dropped a book behind now. I'll grab that in a minute. So I'm like looking for thicker books. I know I took a while on Tree of Smoke, but I feel like if I pick the right book, I just won't put it down. So that's a tempter. So, and the reason I think this is more of a tempter is because I paid $120. Oh yeah, that was another thing. I don't want to take any hardbacks with me. Just wait. If we go for a walk, I can throw a book in my bag and it not take up much weight. I don't have any hardcovers over there anyway. So, I mean, mainly my hardcovers are like things like Stephen King, Robert Harris, and then some other books that I've ended up with that are hardbacks. So yeah, because I feel like, because the rest were all like, oh, that's 20 pence, that's 4 for £1. This one I actually had to, and Stephen King I'm reading in publication order. It's a no-brainer that's a possibility, so I am actually going to put that one to the side. Now, I did pick up 4 books for £1, but I got rid of 2 of them because they were further on in the series. I think one was called Ghost, I'm not sure it was by, but the first one in the series is Nomad, and then the other one is by, I think, somebody Forst, I think. It had Forst in the title, or the author was called Forst, but it was like further on in the series than I would read, so I ended up paying 50p each for these. So I've got Postcards by Annie Proulx. I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, but Annie Proulx is someone I've read before. I've read her The Shipping News, which I really enjoyed, which I wouldn't mind rereading, to be honest with you. It is a book I'm semi on the look for. I've not seen it. I've seen it, I think, but not since I fancied rereading it. So yeah, Postcards is a story of loyal blood, a man who spends a lifetime on the run from a crime so terrible that it renders him forever incapable of touching a woman. The Odyssey begins on a freezing Vermont hillside in 1944 and propels blood across the American West for 40 years. Denied love and unable to settle, he lives 100 different lives, mining gold, growing beans, hunting fossils, prospecting for uranium and ranching. His only contact with his past is through a series of postcards he sends home, not realising that in his absence disaster has befallen his family and their deep-rooted connection with the land has been severed with devastating consequences. So this one sounds really good. But again, I feel like because I picked it up because it was in the... I don't know, that one appeals to me a bit more because it felt like I paid a bit more for it over them. They were more like, I don't know what I'm going to take yet. I'm to be honest with you, I'm at a complete loss at what to take. I feel like I want to stick with what's over there for the most part. Apart from Stuart McBride and Ian Rankin, I'm kind of tempted by because they're both Scottish authors. But I think if I take those, and I have read Ian Rankin before, but not Stuart McBride, so I'm kind of swaying more towards Stuart McBride. Ian Banks, I fancy Wasp Factory as well because he's Scottish, but I don't know. I don't know whether to go with the Scottish things. I've never been to Scotland for the first few nights and then change to something else in Wales. I don't know. Anyway, so last book on the book haul is called Sacred Hunger, and I'm hungry now. I'm ready for some breakfast, and this is by Barry Unsworth. I got this because I just that grabbed me, and the fact that it had hunger in the title reminded me of this book. Not Hampson's Hunger. Yes, I know he was a Nazi, I know all the bad stuff, but this is a really good book. So I've got that. Well, I got that to reread actually, because I was thinking about it, and then I was thinking about it. That's why I picked this up. So this one says, 1752, the Liverpool merchant set sail from Merseyside. A slaver, she is bound for Africa to buy men and transport them in chains across the Atlantic, but aboard ship, disease thrives in the cramped hold, killing men and eating into profit. Captain Thurso insists on throwing the sick overboard, to the horror of Matthew Paris, ship's urchin, who determines to prevent such barbarity. Meanwhile, back home, Erasmus Kemp, cousin of Paris and son of the Liverpool's merchant's owner, finds his fortune hanging in the balance, dependent on the success or failure of a single voyage. I'd have probably took that if it was non-fiction, but it's fiction, but it's quite a chunky book. Like I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to take. I mean, I said 5. I limited myself to 5 books, but I'm feeling like 5 in a non-fiction, to be honest with you. Oh, I don't know. It depends on the size of the book. Like Noughts and Crosses doesn't look that long. Stuart McBride's book is a thriller, and I don't think it'll take too much. But things like Wolf Hall or, you know, a longer non-fiction book might take a while. Anyway, I'm still thinking about my holiday reads. That one's definitely a maybe. Out of what I've got, as well as that Mark Urban book is actually quite interesting me. So yeah, that'll be that. So that's my book haul. I'll probably do another Cornered by Books. I'll try and do a Cornered by Books. I don't know. I'll be away the Friday, so I'm not sure if I'll get a chance to film a video. I may do, but I'll be doing a book column. I might try and do a quick update with what I'm reading at the weekend. But I think, to be honest with you, if I do my vacation books Wednesday, that's pretty much what I'm going to be reading, because that's what I'm going to have with me, unless I pick something else up. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one on Wednesday. Bye.